happens when fame arrives before you've even formed a sense of self? When your every smile, movement, and word is a product for public consumption? The story of the Olsen twins isn't just about celebrity. It's about loss of identity. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were America's sweethearts. But behind the matching outfits and billion-dollar branding was a much darker reality. A reality built on relentless pressure, harsh media judgment, and the devastating consequences of a life lived entirely in the spotlight. And while the world remembers them as the adorable kids from Full House, the truth is, what they endured behind the scenes was anything but wholesome. What led them to vanish from Hollywood, reject fame, and live in complete silence. This is the story the cameras never showed. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were born on June 13, 1986, in Sherman Oaks, California. Just 9 months later, they were cast in the role that would define the rest of their lives, Michelle Tanner, on the hit sitcom Full House. Producers needed twins to comply with child labor laws, and the Olsen girls, barely out of infancy, were the perfect fit. From that moment on, their lives were no longer their own. Full House was a massive success, but the twins quickly outgrew the show's boundaries. By the time they were 6, they were no longer just actresses, they were a brand. Dual Star Entertainment Group, a company created specifically for them, turned Mary-Kate and Ashley into a global merchandising phenomenon. From VHS movies and TV specials to fashion lines, dolls, books, perfumes, and even board games, there wasn't a corner of pop culture they didn't touch. By the time they turned 10, the twins had earned millions. They were routinely listed among the world's richest children, and their empire was only growing. Fans saw them as playful, perfect sisters with matching smiles and a dream life. But that image was carefully manufactured. Behind the scenes, things weren't so simple. Their schedule was punishing. As children, they filmed constantly, did promotional appearances, and juggled school with an adult-level workload. Decisions about their image, their roles, even their personal lives, were made by adults who viewed them as assets. In public, they wore matching outfits and finished each other's sentences. But in private, the pressure was beginning to crack the perfect picture. Because when your entire childhood is scripted and sold to millions, you eventually forget what it means to be a kid. Mary-Kate and Ashley didn't just grow up in front of the camera, they were raised by it. From infancy to adolescence, nearly every moment of their lives was documented, branded, and sold to the public. It wasn't just fame, it was a system, a machine that depended on their sameness, their smiles, their ability to perform on command. But behind those matching outfits and synchronized appearances, cracks were forming. They weren't the same person, but the world often treated them like they were. They spoke about this in interviews later on, describing how strange it felt to be constantly grouped together, unable to exist as individuals. They were viewed more like a product than two real, evolving human beings. As they entered their teen years, the disconnect grew deeper. While most kids were discovering who they were in private, Mary-Kate and Ashley were expected to maintain the image of their childhood selves, forever bubbly, clean-cut, and identical. But inside, they were struggling to figure out who they really were. The fame that gave them everything had slowly started to strip away their identity, and they were just beginning to feel the weight of that loss. By the time they were in their late teens, the pressure to be perfect wasn't just emotional, it became physical. In 2004, fans and media alike noticed a dramatic change in Mary-Kate's appearance. She appeared drastically thinner, her face more hollow, her presence quieter, and the press went into a frenzy. Tabloids printed brutal headlines calling her a walking skeleton and speculating wildly about her health. There was no sympathy, only judgment. Photos of her leaving restaurants, walking to her car, or simply existing were analyzed by strangers as if she were a spectacle. The narrative wasn't about concern, it was about scandal. That same year, Mary-Kate checked into treatment for what was vaguely described as health-related issues. Though never officially confirmed, rumors of an eating disorder swept through the media, becoming the dominant storyline of her life. But no one stopped to ask what caused the problem in the first place. Years of objectification, loss of control, and constant media exposure had taken a toll. When your body becomes public property, it's easy to lose ownership of your well-being. Ashley tried to be the steady force in the background, but she too was affected. The constant intrusion, the speculation, the dehumanization, it weighed on both of them. They were no longer seen as people, but as fragile figures trapped in a media circus. And just when things seemed to be calming down, another tragedy pulled them right back into the spotlight. In January 2008, Hollywood was rocked by the sudden and tragic passing of actor Heath Ledger. The 28-year-old star was found unresponsive in his New York apartment. His death ruled as an accidental overdose involving prescription medication. But what stunned the public even more was who became unexpectedly linked to the story: Mary-Kate Olsen. At the time, Mary-Kate and Heath were rumored to be romantically involved. Though never officially confirmed, insiders claimed the two had been spending time together in the weeks leading up to his death. But what truly raised eyebrows was what happened immediately after Ledger was found. According to reports, the masseuse who discovered Heath's body didn't call 911 right away. Instead, her first calls were to Mary-Kate Olsen, several times. No one knew why. Was it panic? Was Mary-Kate closer to Heath than anyone realized? Or did she know something others didn't? Mary-Kate, who was in California at the time, reportedly sent her private security team to the scene before police even arrived. When federal investigators later approached her for questioning, she refused to cooperate without immunity, a move that fueled even more speculation. The public wanted answers. The tabloids wanted a scandal. But Mary-Kate offered silence. She never spoke publicly about Heath's death, and the mystery surrounding her involvement has never been fully explained. Was she protecting herself, or was she simply trying to shield her grief from a world that had already taken too much from her? Whatever the truth is, that moment marked a clear shift. The Olsen twins had always lived under a spotlight, but now, that spotlight felt more like a target. After years of intense media exposure, health battles, and personal tragedies, the Olsen twins did something few celebrities ever do. They vanished. In 2004, shortly after their final feature film New York Minute, Mary-Kate and Ashley quietly stepped away from acting. There was no dramatic press conference, no farewell tour, just silence. While Hollywood begged for more, the twins had made a decision. They were done being public property. They moved to New York City, far from the flashing lights of Los Angeles. And unlike many stars who simply relocated, the Olsens truly disappeared. They avoided interviews, skipped red carpets, and refused to engage with the rising world of social media. No Instagram, no Twitter, nothing. For two women who had once been on every magazine cover, their withdrawal was startling. But it wasn't a retreat, it was a reclaiming of power. For the first time, Mary-Kate and Ashley were in control of their own narrative. Instead of chasing fame, they turned their attention to fashion. In 2006, they launched their luxury brand, The Row, which quickly gained respect from elite designers and critics. Their clothes were minimalist, private, and precise, just like them. The brand was a success, but unlike other celebrity ventures, the Olsens stayed in the background. No flashy ads, no interviews, no posing in their own designs, just quality work, quietly executed. They no longer wanted to be seen, they wanted to be left alone. But even outside the spotlight, their past continued to follow them. Even as Mary-Kate and Ashley tried to distance themselves from the chaos of fame, there were things they couldn't fully leave behind, especially when it came to their family. Behind the perfectly managed public image was a childhood marked by quiet instability and emotional complexity. Their parents, Jarnette and David Olsen, divorced when the girls were just 9 years old, right as their fame was exploding. While divorce isn't uncommon, theirs came at a time when the twins needed stability the most. Overnight, their home life became a balancing act between split households and a rapidly expanding entertainment empire. Many fans never realized how deeply involved the Olsen family was in the twins' business. Their father was a key figure in their early career, helping steer Dualstar, the company built around them. And while that guidance brought success, some believe it also blurred the line between parental care and commercial interest. Over the years, rumors have surfaced about the intense control exerted over the twins' lives, both from family and from outside managers. The constant demand for perfection, the carefully curated image, the non-stop schedule, it all had to come from somewhere. Internet theories and fan speculation often point to the idea that the girls weren't just famous. They were managed, from top to bottom, by a system of adults who profited from their success. Ashley, the quieter of the two, seemed to pull away first. As the years went by, she became increasingly private, rarely appearing in public and never giving interviews. Mary-Kate, meanwhile, found herself in a high-profile marriage to French banker Olivier Sarkozy, 17 years her senior. The relationship raised eyebrows, but even more startling was how quickly it ended. In 2020, after just 5 years of marriage, Mary-Kate filed for divorce during the height of the global lockdown. It was sudden, quiet, and, just like everything else in her adult life, shrouded in privacy. These personal twists only added to the mystery surrounding the Olsen twins. No one truly knows what they endured behind closed doors. But one thing is certain, the emotional weight of their upbringing didn't vanish when they left the spotlight. It simply followed them into the shadows. Today, the Olsen twins live lives that are almost unrecognizable from the ones they had as children. No more red carpets, no public interviews, no social media presence. In a world obsessed with visibility, They've chosen invisibility, and they've done it masterfully. Mary-Kate is occasionally spotted in New York, usually bundled in oversized coats, sunglasses hiding her eyes, head down. Her appearance often sparks whispers. People ask whether she looks too thin or too tired, as if the scrutiny that once consumed her never fully went away. But unlike before, she no longer responds. The silence is intentional. Ashley, on the other hand, is practically a ghost. She hasn't appeared in a major public event in years and is rarely, if ever, photographed. Some believe she's completely withdrawn from the spotlight out of self-preservation. Others say she's simply at peace. Either way, it's clear she's not interested in being seen. Their fashion brand, The Row, continues to thrive in elite circles, catering to clients who appreciate elegance without spectacle. The twins rarely give statements, and when they do, their words are carefully measured. They've rejected every opportunity to return to acting, including the Full House reboot Fuller House, which invited them to reprise their iconic childhood role. They declined without hesitation. That decision said everything. They're not interested in nostalgia. They're not interested in revisiting the past. They're done being the Olsen twins. They're just Mary-Kate and Ashley now, on their own terms. The tragedy of the Olsen twins isn't found in scandal or downfall. It's found in what they were never allowed to be, children. From the moment they could walk, Mary-Kate and Ashley were sold to the world as a fantasy. Perfect sisters, perfect smiles, perfect lives. But that fantasy was built on pressure, sacrifice, and the slow erosion of personal identity. They weren't just actresses, they were products. And once the cameras turned off, they were left to pick up the pieces of lives that had never truly been their own. They didn't spiral. They didn't publicly break down. They didn't chase the spotlight like so many others who burned out under its glare. Instead, they walked away, quietly, deliberately. And that may be the most powerful thing they've ever done, because their silence, it speaks volumes. It says, we've survived. It says, we've taken back control. And most of all, it says, you don't get to write our story anymore. They were never just America's sweethearts. They were survivors of a system that shaped them, sold them, and nearly erased them. And now, living far from the spotlight, they found the one thing fame could never offer: peace. If you found this story worth hearing, consider subscribing. Only 1.9% of viewers are subscribed, and your support helps us bring more untold stories like this to light.